She who walks alone charts a path no one can erase. Sigma ladies, today we're not just talking about change, we're talking about the point of no return. That moment when a Sigma woman makes a choice so defining, so irreversible, that it reshapes everything. There's no second guessing, no looking back, only forward. And once she crosses that line, nothing and no one can pull her back. A Sigma woman isn't reckless, but when she makes a decision that alters her path, she does it with full intent. She doesn't just walk away, she shifts into a new reality. Today we're going deep into the exact moments when a Sigma woman reaches her breaking point, not in weakness, but in power. If you want to know what pushes a Sigma woman into this unstoppable phase, stay with me till the end. And if you're new here, welcome to the Sigma Lady, where we break down the power moves of the most independent women out there. Hit that subscribe button, because this is where true transformation begins. 1. The detachment trigger, when she unplugs from emotional baggage. There's a difference between giving up and letting go. A Sigma woman never quits on things that matter, but when she detaches emotionally, it's a sign of something much deeper. This isn't just a temporary withdrawal, it's a permanent shift. For a long time, she might tolerate situations out of obligation, love, or even misplaced hope. She may keep giving chances, rationalizing bad behavior, or investing in relationships that take more than they give. But there's a moment, subtle yet powerful, when something clicks in her mind. She realizes she is done. And when that happens, she doesn't yell, she doesn't argue, she doesn't need closure. She simply unplugs. This detachment isn't just about people. It can be about a career that drains her energy instead of fueling her purpose. A social circle that no longer aligns with her values. A version of herself that she has outgrown. Once this switch is flipped, there's no reattachment. She won't revisit past emotions. She won't seek validation. And she won't allow anyone to pull her back into a cycle that no longer serves her. It's over, not with bitterness, but with absolute certainty. This is why people often feel blindsided when a Sigma woman walks away. They didn't see it coming. She doesn't give warnings, because by the time she's made the decision, she's already mentally checked out. The key takeaway: if a Sigma woman is still explaining, still engaging, or still reacting, there's hope. But the moment she stops, that's your sign. It's already too late. 2. The glass ceiling shatter. When she stops asking for permission. A Sigma woman doesn't wait for a green light. Society teaches women, especially those who think independently, that they need approval to take action. Whether it's from a boss, a partner, or even family, the world conditions women to seek permission instead of taking initiative. But there's a moment when a Sigma woman sees this for what it is: a trap. She recognizes that waiting for approval is just another way of giving away her power. And that's when she shatters the glass ceiling. This moment isn't loud or rebellious. It's strategic. She stops waiting to be chosen for a promotion and creates her own opportunities. She stops seeking validation in relationships and sets her own standards. She stops looking for a perfect time and makes the time perfect by taking action. This applies to every area of her life. Career. Instead of waiting for a raise, she builds her own brand, learns new skills, or moves where she's valued. Relationships. Instead of tolerating half-efforts, she walks away from anyone who doesn't match her energy. Personal growth. Instead of waiting for confidence, she builds it by taking action, even when she's scared. Once she stops asking, everything changes. She sees that most limitations exist only because people accept them as real. The second she rejects this mindset, she steps into a version of herself that cannot be controlled, manipulated, or held back. There is no going back. she has freed herself. 3. The echo chamber escape, when she refuses to be defined. One of the biggest moments of no return for a Sigma woman is when she steps out of the echo chamber, the societal, cultural, or personal narratives that have tried to define her for years. From the moment we are born, we are handed labels. Some are meant to praise, others to limit. Be nice, stay humble, don't be too ambitious, follow the rules, fit in. For a long time she might have followed these unspoken rules, not because she believed them, but because she was conditioned to comply. But then something happens, a realization, an event, or even just a quiet moment of reflection. She starts to see that the expectations placed on her were never truly hers. They were designed to keep her in line, to make her predictable, to ensure she remained in a space that was comfortable for others. And that's when she decides, no more. This break isn't dramatic. She doesn't need to announce it. She simply stops playing the role assigned to her and starts living according to her own script. If she was told she's too independent, she embraces it fully instead of softening herself for others. If she was told she needs to settle down, she chooses ambition, freedom, or solitude, whatever suits her. If she was told she's too much, she stops apologizing for her intensity and instead channels it into something powerful. The shift is permanent because once she sees the system for what it is, she can't unsee it. She no longer allows others to define her worth, dictate her choices, or manipulate her into staying small. The world may resist this transformation. Some people will call her difficult. Some will say she's changed, and she has, but only because she has finally become herself. There's no going back, because why would she return to a world that never truly saw her? The emotional firewall activation, when she stops giving second chances. A Sigma woman is not heartless, but she is decisive. She understands human nature, and she is willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. Once, maybe even twice. But when she reaches the point of no return, she's done, completely. This moment doesn't come from a single mistake or a minor disappointment. It happens when she recognizes a pattern, when she sees that certain people will keep taking as long as she keeps giving. And so she activates the emotional firewall. What does this look like? No more explaining why she's upset. If someone doesn't understand by now, they never will. No more negotiating her boundaries. Once a line is crossed, there is no re-entry, no more believing in potential. She sees people for who they are, not who they promise to be. She knows that when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The people who took her kindness for granted will be the most shocked. They will test the firewall. They will try to guilt her, manipulate her, or convince her she's overreacting. But she is no longer accessible to them. This isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. Once she reaches this point, she never lowers the firewall again. And that's when everything changes, because now only the right people can get through. 5. The no more halfway rule, when she commits fully to herself. A Sigma woman doesn't do things halfway. She doesn't live in the gray area of uncertainty when it comes to her purpose, her goals, or her self-worth. But there is always a defining moment, a moment when she stops tolerating anything that isn't 100% aligned with her vision. This is the moment when she chooses herself completely. For a long time, she might have played it safe, giving a little, holding back a little. Maybe she stayed in a job she didn't love because it was stable. Maybe she entertained relationships that weren't fulfilling because they were familiar. Maybe she put her dreams on hold, thinking, one day, when the time is right. But then something happens. She wakes up one day and realizes there is no right time. There is only now. And so she makes a decision that changes everything. She goes all in. What does this look like? She stops waiting and starts doing. No more hesitation, no more excuses. She cuts out distractions. If something doesn't serve her growth, it's gone. She embraces discomfort. Growth is painful, but stagnation is worse. This moment is irreversible because once she sees what's possible when she commits fully, she can't go back to playing small. She has stepped into her power. And from this point forward, every move she makes is intentional. She is no longer available for mediocrity. 6. The minimalist mindset shift. When she stops carrying the unnecessary. A Sigma woman is not just independent, she is free. But that freedom doesn't come from just having choices. It comes from knowing what is worth holding on to and what is dead weight. There comes a point in her journey when she realizes that less is more. This isn't just about material things, though it often starts there. She declutters her space, her wardrobe, her environment, not because she wants to live with less, but because she wants to live with only what matters. Then she does the same with relationships. She removes people who drain her energy. Opinions. She stops caring about what others think. Negative self-talk. She eliminates the thoughts that hold her back. At first, this shift might feel uncomfortable. Society teaches us to accumulate, to collect achievements, to keep people around just because, to say yes to everything. But a Sigma woman knows that the more she carries, the slower she moves. And so, she lets go. Once she experiences the clarity that comes from removing the unnecessary, she never goes back, because now she sees the truth. Freedom isn't in having more, it's in needing less. 7. The invisible no more stand. When she takes up space without apology. For much of her life, a Sigma woman may have preferred to move in silence, observing rather than demanding attention. She never sought the spotlight because she didn't need validation. But there comes a moment, a shift, when she realizes she is done shrinking to make others comfortable. This is when she steps fully into her presence. This doesn't mean she suddenly craves attention. Instead, she recognizes that her power was never in being unseen. It was in choosing when and where to be seen. And now she's done hiding. She speaks up, even when her voice shakes. She claims her achievements without downplaying them. She stops making herself small in rooms that weren't built for her. This moment is irreversible because once she allows herself to take up space, she never minimizes herself again. She no longer sees confidence as arrogance or self-worth as selfishness. She understands that being unapologetically herself isn't a threat, it's a necessity. And once she steps forward, the world has no choice but to adjust. 8. The unfollow reality move. When she creates her own blueprint, society hands out ready-made scripts. Go to school, get a job, settle down, stay in line. The world prefers predictability. But a Sigma woman reaches a moment when she asks, who wrote this script and why am I following it? And that's when she does the unthinkable. She stops following and starts creating. This shift happens in many ways. She rejects the traditional path if it doesn't serve her. She builds a career or lifestyle that aligns with her own terms. She walks away from expectations and writes her own rules. The moment she realizes she doesn't have to play by anyone else's game, she leaves the system behind. Others may call her unconventional, rebellious, or even reckless, but she doesn't care, because for the first time she is truly living for herself. And once she tastes that kind of freedom, there's no going back. 9. The silence speaks louder. Mastery. When she chooses to walk instead of argue. A Sigma woman doesn't argue with fools. She doesn't waste energy trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding her. There comes a moment when she stops engaging in meaningless debates, stops justifying her choices, stops reacting to negativity. Instead, she simply walks away. This silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. She knows that words won't change closed minds. She understands that energy is a currency, and she won't spend it on nonsense. She lets success, growth, and peace be her only response. Once she realizes the power of silence, she never wastes her voice on the unworthy again. Because the loudest statement a Sigma woman can make is disappearing from places that don't deserve her. 10. The Phoenix Moment. When she rises, no matter what. Every Sigma woman has been through something. Heartbreak, betrayal, loss, failure. She's faced moments that could have broken her. But here's the defining moment, the Phoenix Moment. It's when she chooses to rise. She stops seeing setbacks as endings. She refuses to stay down when life knocks her over. She turns every failure into fuel. Once she realizes she can survive anything, she becomes unstoppable. She no longer fears loss, rejection, or uncertainty, because she knows she will always rise again. This is the ultimate point of no return. Once she has walked through fire and emerged stronger, there is nothing left to fear. Sigma ladies, once you cross these lines, you don't go back. You only rise higher, move smarter, and live freer. No explanations, no apologies, just progress. If you felt this, if you saw yourself in these moments, drop a comment below. Let me know. Which of these no-return points have you already crossed? And if you're still on the edge, remember, your power begins the moment you decide there's no going back. This is the Sigma Lady, and I'll see you in the next one.